Here you go, friends. Doc South here, and a bit of a story I like to tell now and then. If you look through my archives, you'll see this story here and there popping up. I like to tell it as often as possible without going crazy on it. In other words, like once a year. I like to do it. It's an absolutely true story. Uh, I have I have no well. All I can say is I guess I'm just it it's just hard to explain. But maybe you've had similar things happen to you. Perhaps I'm not the only one that has a tale to tell such as this one. Perhaps many of us do. But I like to get this one out. Every now, well, at one time, oh, let's see, maybe, well, my kids, yeah, this would be almost 30, 40 years ago now, 35 years ago, maybe. My kids lived with me. Their mom and I had gotten a divorce. The kids wound up living with me uh, when they became teenagers. And whew, tell you to go from, I had a very nice girlfriend back then, was kind of like a surrogate mom to them. But I, uh, I still had my hands full with my two. Sonny and Burgess were, oh my God, they were good kids. Absolutely nothing wrong with them, but they were teenagers. And they were really into just living life, shall we say. And in fact, I think Sonny might have been out of school at this point and going to community college. Anyway, one night I'm at home uh, and I get a call. And the call is from a police department, a local police department, not too far from my home back then. And the sergeant of police there says, Mr. South? I said, yes, sir. He says, this so and so department. Your daughter, we're down at the, let's say, Dover General Hospital. Your daughter's been in a wreck. Now she's okay. She's okay. In fact, I should have said that sooner for you. But she's fine, but she was hurt. Her car is totaled, and we need you. Could you please come down to you know where the hospital is? I said, yeah, in fact, not too sure, I wasn't born there. He says, well, okay. Uh, I said, that was long ago. He says, well, yeah, I would imagine, but he says, okay, so you know where it is. Yeah, yeah, I know. He says, well, if you could please, come on down and pick her up. Her car's totaled. Like I said, she's okay. Um, really didn't do anything wrong. We're giving her a minor citation because she was a little too close. I think she might have been too close to a car uh, in front of her, or maybe she got rear-ended. I don't know. I forget now. But it was, as accidents go, it was relatively, in terms of legality, it was relatively minor, but the car was totaled and she was hurt a bit. Nothing too serious, and that's just how it went. So okay. I said, well, I know right where the hospital is, and I'll be right there. And it took me about a half hour. I'm at the hospital, pick Sonny up, and of course she's all got little band-aids all over her face, and her she's kind of hurting in her arm, and that kind of thing. But again, relatively minor stuff as those things go. It wasn't too bad. And I said, "Oh my God, thank heaven!" We saw it. We stopped on the way home to see the car. The car looked like, like when you step on a beer can. It's kind of what the car looked like. I said, "My God, it's a freaking miracle you got out of that car alive." She says, "Well, Dad, you're always going to wrecks." I said, "Well, when I did rescue, yeah, but oh, this one's bad. God, how did you live?" She says, "I don't know." And she, I said, "Well, you did. That's the main part. But oh my God, that car's this. I don't think even. Whoa, bad." Anyway, so I get her home, and she's a little achy in pain. You know, she's got a pain in her joints and all that, and sore and scared. And they gave me some pills to give her, and those kind of calmed her down real good. And pretty soon she's out cold, okay, in her bed. And we had more in case she wakes up in the night or in the morning, needs another pain pill. We had them. And my kids were great kids. They really, you couldn't have asked for two nicer children. Although they were still a handful, and you know they yeah, they get in over their head quite often. But that's what kids do. So anyway, so I'm laying in bed. Now I didn't have a wife then. I had a very nice girlfriend, and I had called her and told her name was Tina, and I told Tina what had happened, and uh, she she put in her 2 cents and all her condolences, and said she'd be there and come by in the morning and see what she could do to help and all that. I said, well, yeah, right now she's out cold. So it was good. She probably should sleep. And so I go hop into bed at my home, and I don't know. I remember laying in the bed, and it was very hard to sleep. Having been a rescue person, I knew how awful these things can be, and how sometimes just a matter of being a little to the left or a little to the right gets you through it, or puts you in the graveyard. And it's you get into a wreck like that, heaven knows the stuff that can happen and the horror it can be. And I remember, I think I rolled over onto my side and I said, God, thank you. Thank you so much for sparing my daughter. And I said, I don't know how she lived through that except but by your help. Thank you. Thank you. And I believe I might have said the Lord's Prayer. And then I just kind of rolled over onto my side and just kind of stared at the wall. Eventually, I was darn near asleep. I don't think I was exactly asleep, but I was close. You know that area where yeah. And all of a sudden, I hear like a wind. And I'm telling you, absolutely, this is as true as I can do it. I heard like a wind. And a kind of not quite the wind you would hear if you're out on a bluff, getting ready to sing a song or something, in a play. They call the wind Mariah. No, but it was like it was a wind, but it sort of wasn't a wind. And I'm just kind of, it caused me for one of my eyes to open. And I look, and there's like a light in the room. There's a light in the room. And all of a sudden, a little strand of a little, like a chain, as if like on a necklace, on a fancy necklace with the little rings, the little golden rings. It just floated right by my face like that. And it was coming from over here, and behind. I'm laying kind of like on my belly, sort of. And another one comes and floats. Now the other one, the first one's still there. Now here comes the second one, third one, fourth one, fifth one. All of a sudden there's a whole bunch of these, and they're just, like I said, just floating, just kind of flopping like seaweed. Only they were like little chains of light, golden light. I would say gold, yeah, gold colored, but luminescent. Now, I don't think I've ever seen gold turn to where it glowed in the dark, but that's what these looked like. And then there was the sound of wind, but a far off wind, kind of a like that. And these chains. And all of a sudden, the stopped, and I either heard it or I felt it. A voice said, roll on your back and look at me. Do it now. Like that. Just almost like I just told you. And again, there's all these strands. I roll over on my back, and there, floating maybe 2 feet above my face, 2 feet above my face, is a face, another face. But it's almost like it's in a porthole looking out at me. It was a face, and it didn't need a porthole to protect it or anything, but it was like a big round face, or a round circular spot with the face in it. Other than that, it was brilliant white coming out of that hole, but you could see like eyes and maybe a little bit of the start of a nose, and I don't think you could see a mouth. Maybe this, whatever it was looking at me, maybe didn't need a mouth. Maybe it used telepathy. I don't know. But it looked down at me and said, turn over and look at me. That's good. That's good. Your daughter will be fine. You do a good job with your kids. Your daughter will be fine. I think it may have said, oh, she'll hurt a bit, but she'll be okay. And again, it's these eyes just kind of looking at me. Now listen, as far as you're concerned, you've got to get some sleep. You do a good job. Be glad of that. And again, all I could see was these eyes coming out of this brilliant white. Now go to sleep. Good night. And next I know, it's morning. To this minute, I describe this to people, and most anyone I know tells me it was, well, there's some people say, well, are you drinking again or something? I don't think I drank at that time. I don't think I did. I still don't. But I didn't really think about having a snort. But I got to think. I describe this to other people, and most anyone I talk to says, well, doggone, that was an angel. That had to be an angel. I say, yeah, but don't they have wings and robes and stuff like that and flit around the room and stuff? Well, maybe some do and some don't, but you definitely saw an angel. I said, well, okay. Gee, it was kind of cool. I said, it felt, now that I think about it, it felt like it had, excuse me, my nose itches. It had the feeling that if it wanted to, it could destroy the earth just by going like that and be gone. At the same time, it felt like there was more love in that being than you could ever hope to have. It was just amazing. I think that might be what if we're really doing well, that's eventually what we become, is something like that. And there's more than enough room for angels. And I imagine they have their work to do all over the place, not just on a given planet. So I imagine there's more than enough on this planet to keep them busy. I'm just wondering if, I know all I can say is the being, the angel, told me to go to sleep, shut up, go to sleep. Much like my parents would have done when I was a kid. Shut up, go to sleep, jeez. And I woke up in the morning, and Sonny was a little sore, but from the wreck, but not bad as these things go. And I don't know, I felt like I kind of found a new friend. Never seen that angel since. I got a feeling when my time comes, I'll see that angel again. Hopefully with a smile on his face. And I do think it was a male. I don't think it was a female. It had more like a male's eyes. But I've never seen anything like it since. Nothing like it since. But I guess once is enough. Anyway, I'm interested. Have you ever had such a visitation? It'd be fun to share it, I would think. Anyway, enough said. And again, I absolutely swear I am not throwing you a line here. It's exactly how it all went down and what I saw. I have not seen anything like it since. When I did rescue, I don't, I can't recall. Oh, there may have been one thing or another where perhaps people came to just out of the blue, thinking in the ambulance they weren't going to make it, and they did. But I can't lay a finger on one of those instances. I'll have to kind of delve into my memory banks and see if something will come up. But such things are out there, and they seem to come at just the right moment. I think that's almost how you'll know. They come at just the right moment, and they're loaded for bear. By the way, I got the feeling that if that, I may have said this already, if that angel was under orders to destroy the earth would be toast in milliseconds. I think they have great power, but I think they also have great love within them. It seemed to me, and I would think they probably make very good friends. Right? Let's hope. I'll see you later. God bless. Bye now.